You guys have any Raisin Bran? No, we don't. Can you go get me some?
We have
we
total.
got total and raisins. You can kind of mix it in there. Be like Raisin Bran. Yeah, it'd be like Raisin Bran. It wouldn't be Raisin Bran. Oh, yeah, you're just splitting hairs here.
Welcome everybody to the Family Guy Friends podcast. Oh God, do we have that? I think we do. I think we have that as the intro. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Tougie Steak Podcast. We are back again, your favorite hockey broadcast, where we pretend that we're gonna talk about hockey for more than 10 minutes, but talk about Family Guy and video games and ancient history and who we'd want to lead into battle. Which I think was the last show.
Gasoline.
Endo Mills, how are you?
I'm playing Animal Crossing. How are you?
Don't pay your rent.
Fuck you, Tom Nook.
Fuck landlords, especially Tom Nook. All my homies hate Tom Nook.
Been robbing people blind for over 20 years now.
Tom Crook. There
You
you
have an
go.
episode title.
That was easy.
It gets easier every episode. Sorry, Sin.
Yeah.
How are you?
I am fantastic. I have a bunch of videos pre-recorded for my trip. I'm going to be recording even more before I leave. And since it's the last podcast, I'm going to announce what the series is.
Hey.
Because I'm excited. It is an NHL Legacy Edition. Live the life as a goon. And it is fucking hilarious. I'm playing on the Erie Otters and protecting McDavid.
Ah. Oh, dude, if you get drafted by the same team.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for happens. But I know with like the draft system, you can basically say fuck you to management immediately and get traded if you don't like the team that you're on, which is pretty great. I love that was a good game mode. Really good game mode. And experiencing that again is great. And I also miss being able to play full years in the CHL. Or in the AHL too. Yeah, and honestly, gameplay not horrible. AI obviously is not great at times, but
has it gotten any better?
Yeah, NHL 23 has some good freaking moments. Like AI decision making is much better than it was back then, but the nostalgia is strong enough that I'm really enjoying it. The hitting is hilarious. I forgot left stick hitting was a thing. Do you remember that? Yeah,
I immediately
I
turned
forgot.
it off.
So my first penalty I took, I was just trying to back check, and I just clobber a defenseman for no reason, and then get into a fight because of it. It's so much fun, and it's a great nostalgia trip. And yeah, you guys should check it out. It'll be dropping on June 6th, and it'll be uploading like once every other day while I'm in Finland. I should have like 15, 16 plus episodes recorded.
Nice. I like that as a goon. It's just like left stick hitting's on. Oh, you're just going to hit someone for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So I had to turn that off. I was like, oh my God, I can't do that because.
Accurate, though. Very accurate.
And being able to stick lift is pretty awesome. Yeah. And being able to stick lift is pretty incredible.
Imagine.
Yeah.
My God. But yeah, let me know when you get your first billboard.
Yeah.
And, what meter are you going to work for? The owner meter, the teammate meter, the fan meter? What do you prioritize?
The most important ones are, as I recall, teammate and family, because teammate will make your line mates better, and family will make your guy better, if I recall correctly. I don't know if the fans and management does much. I know if management hates you, they're more likely to screw you over, but yeah, I don't know.
Pay you a bunch of money that you can't spend anything on anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, basically. But hey, enforcer, I'll be making like nothing. So
you can't take from me. I already make league min.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'll be scoring like 40 goals a year in the NHL and making like $2 million.
That's the way to do it. You are. God, who's the comparison? I was gonna say Tom Wilson, but he makes too much money.
James Neal, that one season.
That one season of Pat Maroon.
Yeah, you are New Jersey Devils Pat Maroon.
I thought he was on.
Was it Edmonton or Anaheim?
It was Edmonton.
He ended up
Edmonton. He was almost a 30-goal scorer with McDavid.
Yeah, because McDavid.
That's right. Okay.
And yeah, it just recently got put on McDavid's wing. Oh my god. And dude, the best thing about that is you can have custom AI. You don't have to rely on coaches' strategies. I just set my own AI and I can always use it. So we're always forechecking, we're always overloading, we're always cycling. It's that's the one big plus.
Having control in a video game. Imagine.
Yeah, especially single player.
Yeah.
Also custom plays and all that too, so you can just do all that. Because they had custom plays in Legacy.
Yeah.
Well, set up a flying V. That's the way. Oh God. I had to look it up for Pat Maroon. So Anaheim, never too crazy, right? Like a career high of 34 points. 15-16. He gets traded to Edmonton at the deadline. First half of the season in Anaheim, 13 points in 56 games. In 16 games with the Oilers, he had 14 points.
Yep.
And then the next year, had 27 goals, 42 points, a career high. And then ends up in New Jersey, and then St. Louis for a year, which was weird. Won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
he went back home. That's where he was from or something like that.
Oh, God. Yeah, birthplace St. Louis, Missouri on his NHL.com profile. For those of you playing bingo at home, that's the 2019 Stanley Cup Final mentioned, top right corner. Tick it off.
Also, yeah, that's like that. Like that year with freaking Edmonton is like when you sign some 81 overall guy for like $7 million because you're trying to hit the cap floor and playing with your new young stud that you just drafted in the top 5, and then he gets hella points and you get stat growth, and then you trade him.
It's the way. But yeah, no, I'm glad you boys are doing well. I'm doing pretty good too. Very few complaints, aside from somehow it's like 20 degrees hotter here today than it is in California, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, the high today is 82.
91 here all day. Unless you don't use freedom units for your temperature, in which case, I don't fucking know. Read a book. Do the conversion.
Yeah, it's around 20s Celsius 26, where I am. Around 30s for you.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. I hate it here.
Yeah, I'm at 30 as well.
But yeah, I'm doing well. The only complaints I have is that Bruins fans at this point were just like, oh God, help us. The big news of the day was that there is a Finnish prospect that they're probably not going to sign, so his rights are going to lapse. And that's why we're not going to win the cup. A lack
Sharks
of Finns.
Going to grab him. Yeah.
Tuukka Rask left, and now here we go. A lack of Finns. I don't care if he was a 6th round pick. This guy had 33 points in 60 games
in the league
this season. Yeah,
that's good for a men's league.
They're not going to sign him. So that's as long as that's the only negative in my life, I'm doing okay. And for the most part, it is. Aside from
Cassidy might win a cup.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Final in a little bit. I suppose we should probably do that. It's Sin's only chance to talk about the Cup Final until after it's over.
Yeah.
By potentially a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's potentially over.
I'm legit not coming back till July 7th, so... Unless I can figure out a way to do the podcast from there, but I don't even know how that works.
Well, hopefully, because otherwise you're going to miss the Cup Final, the draft, and the first week of free agency.
Jesus.
And I mean, I'm going to miss 2 weeks of it as well. Like, I have a very good chance I'm going to be in Finland for the Cup Final, and the NHL draft this year is on
24th or something.
The 28th. So I will be home for that. So that'll be nice. But, it's not nearly as hype because, bad things, bad people, good things happening to bad people. Anyway, if you want to be a good person who has good things happen to them, might I implore you to take us up on our lovely offer from our lovely sponsor, from the fine folks at Manscaped, who want to remind you that you can go to manscaped.com and use the code Tougie, that's Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. They just practically giving it to you for free. And of course, running right now at manscaped.com, a lot of Father's Day specials in the works. It's coming up this month. It's June. Stupid, isn't it? How the hell is it June already? Yeah. Happy Pride indeed. And if you want to look the best for your fella, for whoever else, I don't even care. You want to make sure that your dad looks his best. That's right. Think about your dad's balls. But make sure that they're good to go. Thanks to Manscaped. What? And know what's so funny about your dad's balls?
I don't want to think of my dad's sweaty balls he can't even see because he's so fat. Okay? So, you listen. Listen here. Okay? I don't want to think about that. Okay?
But keep talking about it, though.
No, we're not talking about it.
No?
Got a roof over his
Manscaped.com. Code Tougie. Thank you to them. And thank you to all of you for listening and supporting the show. We appreciate you, and we'll show our love by getting to some viewer questions. And we will kick things off with one that I had heard nothing about from one Raffy Boy, mentioning the new CHL rules, the Champions Hockey League, and rule changes.
Oh, I heard about this.
I did not. I have no idea what the hell these changes are, but we're going to go over this and hope that Raffy's setting us up for a successful segment here. So, from scoutingtherefs.com,
learn the rules.
Here's a quote here from the league. With the aim of developing the sport of ice hockey in its future, as well as increasing the overall excitement for fans, the CHL Sport Committee has discussed a variety of potential on-ice rule innovations over the last couple weeks and months. After the evaluation, blah, 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 here's what we've come down to. The league will be making 3 changes to goal-scoring-related penalty time. Number 1, penalties will still be assessed when a goal is scored on a delayed penalty.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think?
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'm on board with it. You know what? Simply because when you score on a delayed what?
Do your time. Do the crowd do the time.
But like if you score on a delayed penalty, it's pretty rare that happens. I don't think it should negate the whole power play. Like you can sometimes get the extra man, but the second the opponent touches it, it's like, I don't know. It's so different that I almost don't know how to feel about it, but I'm all for trying new things, you know?
I mean, I'm someone who, like, I don't view too many rules in hockey as like, oh, you can't ruin the, I guess, sanctimony of the sport by changing the rules. Like, no, abolish offside. It's just as fucking stupid as the 2-line pass was. Abolish offsides. Honestly, I wouldn't even be opposed to just being able to fucking ice the puck whenever the fuck you want. I really wouldn't care because it would open up the game that much more.
I think that slows it down. Like, you could just clear it out at any point and like get easy line changes, and like I think it takes some coaching out of it. I think removing.
I would like to see it at least in practice to see how it would work on the ice before it gets to the NHL. I'm not so much beholden to like abolish icing like I am offside. Offside should go. It's a terrible rule.
Like when I played roller hockey, there's no offside or icing. But it's also a smaller rink. It's 4-on-4. I think for sure in 3-on-3 there should be no offside and maybe even no icing, but for sure no offside in 3-on-3.
So that was my thought in regards to no icing, is the idea of if you also don't have offsides. Because the thing you always hear people say when you talk about abolishing offsides is, but what if people cherry pick? Good! Good! That's a new strategy! The odds, by the way, that a team just parks someone at the opposing blue line and waits for someone to fucking slap it out so they can retrieve it, incredibly slim. What's wrong with cherry picking? Fucking be responsible defensively. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like there would be hella cherry pickers in roller hockey. Like almost every team had one dude who would do it at some point in the game. You just have to be aware, and it creates fun. Like I think it's cool. Like cool. If someone wants to cherry pick, they're taking themselves out of a defensive situation. You have a choice. You can turn that into a power play, capitalize on it, or and run the risk of them maybe getting that puck and sending it over to them, or you can.
And the strategy changes if, say, you have fucking Connor McDavid hanging around the red line, but the Oilers, the puck is in their defensive zone. What do those two defensemen do? Do they stay at the blue line, or do they drop back to cover McDavid, which opens up more space in the offensive zone? There is legitimately very little argument. There's no argument you can have against abolishing offsides. To me, there's also very little argument you can have against abolishing icing. I agree with your takes in about like, okay, here's some of the things. I think the risk is worth the reward, personally. That said, penalties still being assessed when a goal is scored on a delayed call. I think we're kind of in the middle. Not inherently bad. Need to see it in practice.
What was that one? Sorry.
That was the first one. Penalties will still be assessed when a goal is scored on a delayed call. I think we're both like, or all really like, hey, that'd be nice, but I need to see it in practice. Then there's rule change number 2. Penalties, minor penalties, I'll reread this. Minor penalties will be served for the full 2 minutes, whether or not a team scores or not.
I think you got to have one or the other in that case. That seems a bit too crazy. And then it's because that puts a hell of a lot more pressure on like refs to get the calls right, and we know they don't. And you're gonna have so much more pissing and moaning when penalties are called. Like if you can score multiple times, I don't know. That one's a little bit weird. That one seems too punishing for a minor penalty.
So there was a little bit more in regards to this one. So that first one, penalties will still be assessed when a goal is scored. This from, again, scoutingtherefs.com. This is currently how things are handled in the NCAA. A goal scored on a delayed penalty does not wash out the penalty call. The offending team assess the penalty with the opponent still scoring, getting the power play. So yeah, the idea behind it is to obviously boost goal scoring by properly punishing penalized players and not having that eliminated. And then the minor penalties will be served for the full 2 minutes. Quote, everything old is new again. This is how it once was in the NHL up until 1956. Players will be required to sit for the full 2 minutes with team getting the full time on the man advantage regardless of how many goals are scored. So as if it's a 5-on-5. Again, how major penalties are currently handled. Puts a greater significance on each penalty as power plays are more valuable. CHL feels like it'll increase goal scoring while also remaining consistent using the same approach for majors and minors. But Sin, I think you kind of found the one potential fault in it. The pressure that puts on the refs, unless you have almost like a VAR, like a virtual assistant, to be able to double check and really confirm shit and do it quickly.
Yeah. I'm also thinking of it as a primarily NHL fan, like, and how bad the refereeing has been, like in playoff situations where they're just like terrified of calling things. Is that gonna be a thing in the Champions Hockey League? Admittedly, I don't even know if I've ever watched Champions Hockey League. And I didn't realize that the NCAA was a thing. That rule that you said, the penalties aren't washed out, because I don't watch NCAA either.
Right. So then there is the third rule, which can kind of offset the other two. So again, rule number 1, even on a delayed call, you still serve the penalty if the other team scores. Rule number 2, minor penalties served for the full 2 minutes. Unless, rule number 3, short-handed goals end a minor penalty.
Interesting.
So if you score short-handed,
I like that.
That's interesting.
It all comes together. They work in tandem, or in unison, I suppose. Because would a tandem only be 2? Do you have a tandem bike for 3 people? I don't think that's how that works.
We've been over this. I got 3 goalie tandem. Yeah.
That'd be a tandem.
Honestly, the idea that short goals end a penalty, it kind of changes the offense in terms of how risky you might want to be. And defensively, it's like, okay, how aggressive do you choose to be? Do you put maybe a different player out on the kill who has that breakaway speed? Because, hey, it's worth the risk now.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That I think combined with that, when it is the first 2 on their own, I'm like, oh, you got to have one or the other. But the prospect of, if you score a shorty, you can get rid of the penalty. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
because that brings in a whole lot more strategy into it, I think.
So I kind of like this. And as a general set of rule changes, I kind of like this, and I'm very intrigued.
Try new shit out.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see kind of what the results of this is. Especially that last one, shorthanded goals and a minor penalty, no matter how much time is left, is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rafi, I mean, thoughts on it? I think you can tell, like, our interest is peaked. It's going to be intriguing to kind of see how it plays out. For the record, it is a 24-team tournament. Begins in August with 4 different groups of European clubs from different leagues, which, again, if you are a soccer fan, a footy fan, it's literally, it's the Champions Hockey League. It's the same thing as the Champions League in soccer, which is great. Yeah, group stage, top 6 teams advance to the playoffs. Championship game slated for February 20th. So I'm very intrigued. I really am. I think those could be some super interesting rules. And honestly, because obviously, you know, video game centric here a little bit, I do wish we could play around with like house rules in custom lobbies.
Oh my god!
Rules like this in EASHL custom matches. Just to see how it plays out. Yeah.
I was even going even further, saying that Play, like for example, Play Now should have the option to do literally everything, every mode that's available in the game. But then it also dives into what ones is and what threes is. Like I can play Hut and do rivals or whatever, and use those rotating playlists to play 3-on-3 international, 3-on-3 regular, 3-on-3 like small ice or whatever. Why can't we do that in the rest of the game? Like, give people the tools. Like, I think I've said it before on the podcast. The greatest idea is when you give the tools to the community to use. Albeit in a sandbox, it could work as well. So that way it's kind of controlled, but controlled creativity is the one thing that'll probably give sports games the most life out of anything else. I mean, look at FIFA. Whenever there's an issue with FIFA, let's say, for example, you lag out in a 1v1 game or like a match, you can hop into there's like a control zone that says like, oh, set the score, set from where you want to start back up from, kind of thing. So there's a lag out. Like there's stuff that they should be adding in there, and yeah,
it'd be nice. But yeah, overall, very, very intrigued by these particular rule changes. Our second question from Scroopy Noopers, question for the podcast: do you think that the Hobie Baker Award winners should be considered a guaranteed NHL star? Why has there only ever been one Hall of Famer to win the award? Basically, tell me I'm stressing over nothing for the Ducks to pick Adam Fantilli. Well,
I mean, honestly, Anaheim should pass on Fantilli, and Columbus probably too. It just doesn't seem like a smart pick.
I agree.
He should probably fall to 4 in my rankings.
He's got bust written all over him. You know, Seth Jones fell to 4, and think about how on and off Seth Jones has been, and God, yeah, just
you live in Anaheim. You want Will Smith. You want a celebrity.
That would be interesting. But yeah, think of other fourth. You know, Seth Jones wasn't the only like 4th overall. Griffin Reinhart went 4th overall. Is that what you want? You want to end up with the forward version of Griffin Reinhart?
Yeah.
Ew.
That's mean.
What about Benoit Pouliot went 4th overall? Like, he was okay. But man, Nikolai Sherdev. Man, you could even have Chad Kilger. Like, you don't want to take this guy. I mean, let him fall to 4 and let the Sharks draft the next Chad Kilger, you know?
Yeah, we like our busts.
Ignore the fact
down to 4.
Ignore the fact that like Lanny McDonald, Mike Gartner, Ron Francis, Steve Yzerman,
you just have a list.
Among others were former 4th overall picks. Ignore that. God. Yeah, so as far as the question goes, do you think the Hobie Baker Award winner should be considered a guaranteed NHL star? Oh, fucking course not. For a lot of different reasons. And, he mentioned, like, oh, there's only one Hall of Famer to win the award. Do you guys know who that is?
No.
I will give you a hint. Ducks-centric. Scroopy being a Ducks fan. Hope you're enjoying my Fowler jersey, by the way.
American Duck.
American Duck. In fairness, he's Canadian, but played in the NCAA. It is
Korea?
It is Paul Correa.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the only Hall of Fame. By the way, the University of Maine Black Bears, back-to-back Hobie Baker winners in 92, 93, and haven't had one since. Fuck. But yeah, like you look at
fell off.
Yeah, they did, actually.
So
Fantilli won the Hobie Baker this year. Last year, Dryden McKay, undrafted goaltender, played, I think, with the Newfie Growlers this year.
He's played with the Growlers because the Toronto prospect pool for goalies is
so he was
kind
older
of
than,
weird. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so he was 24. He's 25 now.
Yeah.
No comparison.
UDFA out of college and had a 900 save percentage in the ECHL this year compared to when he won the Hobie Baker, a 931 save percentage in 40 games.
I think age has a lot to do with it. Fantilli won it at 18.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go. It's like, think of it like this. A 17-year-old scoring 100 points in the CHL versus a 20-year-old scoring 100 points in the CHL. Like, the 17-year-old's going drafted. That 20-year-old who did that could have been taken in the 7th round. He's just a fucking man playing against boys.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, you look at the most recent winners. Fantilli, we don't know yet. McKay, who was older. Cole Caulfield.
Oh, no.
Who?
Didn't Eichel win it? No?
Yes, he did, 2015.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to get to that. So you have, since 2015, Eichel, Cale Makar, Cole Caulfield. You have Scott Perunovich in 2020 for the Blues. He's a defenseman for the Blues. He wasn't a full-timer this year. Adam Gaudette in 2018. Will Butcher, Jimmy Vesey. And then before Eichel was Johnny Gaudreau. And then before Johnny Gaudreau, there was this huge run where it didn't work. Like Johnny Gaudreau in 2014 is the reason why. Like you have Gaudreau, then Eichel, and then a lot of these guys that have at least been in the NHL regularly. Before that, this award didn't mean anything in regards to transitioning to NHL success. Drew LeBlanc, Jack Connolly, Andy Mille, Blake Jeffreyon, Matt Gilroy, Kevin Porter, Ryan Duncan, San Jose Sharks legend Matt Carl, Marty Sertich, Junior Lassard, Peter Sena, Jordan Leopold, Ryan Miller, and Mike Motto are the ones to have won it since 2000. I mean, it's been a recent thing, and yeah, it's still not in a spot of guaranteed star.
No, but if you think about the recent ones, Eichel's probably a Hall of Famer. Like, you got to think his career. What's up?
He's on pace.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gaudreau, borderline. Who are the other ones? You said Caulfield, and then there's someone else that you also said.
Cale Makar.
Yeah, Cale Makar's gonna be a Hall of Famer. Like, there's no fucking way he's not. Like, unless horrific injuries happen to him.
So, like, the worst player of the bunch since 2014 is, like, Adam Gaudette, and he's got a couple hundred NHL games played. It's not as if he's abysmal. I mean, so yeah, in recent years, it has meant more. But guaranteed star, no.
But, yeah, Fantilli, in all seriousness, my hopes aside, because I know it's not happening, Fantilli's got all the tools that you want in a number one center. And he's a fucking center.
He's Jack Eichel in the Connor McDavid draft.
Yeah.
Any other year, he goes first overall. Any other year. So, I mean, again, that's a hyped up draft for a reason.
This is why I wanted to move up. Like, I wanted Bedard or Fantilli so bad because they're, it's essentially McDavid Eichel. Yeah, you want McDavid, but fucking Eichel's a great consolation prize.
Buffalo's GM didn't think so.
I know. What a fucking tool bag, dude. I can't believe seeing some of the things that he said about Eichel. God damn.
Oh, God. Yeah, who was there? It was Tim Murray.
Yeah.
Tim Murray. When
I don't think works in the NHL now. Maybe he does at some executive level, but...
Well, let's see. Tim Murray, ice hockey executive. Nope. He is not in hockey anymore. At least not at a major level.
Yep.
Old Tim Murray. So, hey, maybe you shouldn't have put on such a sour face for drafting, a guy currently getting ready to play in the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
Oh, he actually hasn't worked in hockey since he was let go by the Sabres in 2015.
Just completely blackballed.
Oof. My goodness. Scroopy, thank you for the question. From Broken Wheelchair, what's worse, being swept or being reverse swept?
Reverse swept. I know
Reverse.
from experience.
Yeah, I think it's got to be reverse swept.
Being
right?
swept by Chicago in the conference finals hurt, but being reverse swept by LA in 2014 was the worst. You become a meme, you become part of history, and no one ever forgets.
Yeah, I mean, the pain of 2010 when the Philadelphia Flyers reverse swept the Boston Bruins, including coming down, back from 3-0 down in Game 7 itself. That pain was only ever alleviated because the Bruins won the Cup the next year. That's it. That is the only reason, which, by the way, you can hear me talk about a lot of that history on the main channel, of course. Endo Mills and I put together a video. Thank you to those of you that have checked it out. It hasn't been everyone's cup of tea, but that's because some people are silly gooses. They need to give something other than franchise mode a try, please and thank you. Anyway, I think we answered Wheels' question there. From Bud Knight, I don't know if it's too late, but a question for Tougie. In your humble opinion, who are the top 5 clubs in the Premier League that people should be paying more attention to? Jesus. I mean, well, the season just ended. So there's at least, 3 clubs that were just relegated that you no longer have to pay attention to. But.
And there's that new club that just came in.
Luton Town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. From the doldrums of non-league football up to the Premier League, which is ridiculous. It really is. Shout out to Nottingham Forest as well. A team with a lot of championship history that have not done very well for the past 30 years that are trying to get back on. Almost 30 years, I should say. Pay attention to Chelsea because they're shit. New American owner in the past year who has no idea what the fuck he's doing. He is out of control at the helm, and it's glorious to watch. Pay attention to Brighton, who are playing European football for the first time next season, and pay attention to Aston Villa because we love friend of the channel, Nuge TV. So there you go. Those are my answers. And our final question from AJ: fuck, marry, kill, Lois, Marge, or Francine?
This is easy.
Take it away.
You kill Marge, because holy shit.
You fuck Marge.
Don't crumple, you sweetie.
Fucking kill her immediately. Take her big old blue fro, drown her. You fuck Francine because she's hot, but she's dumb and she's has lacks the morals enough to marry a CIA imperialist agent. And you marry Lois because she sees the good in everyone, even when they're a dumbass. And she's a ride or die, dude. She's a fucking ride or die.
No, you got a response?
He just went so in depth with it. I'm just like, what do I have to say? I don't know.
So that's your big YouTube hit, by the way, is a 50-minute video essay on this question. 100,000 views.
I don't know. I'd fuck Marge and fuck Francine and I'd fuck Lois. Fuck the
not
rules.
The question, though.
That's you got to play the game, Endo.
Endo, play the game.
You got to play the game like the rules, okay? By the rules.
Okay.
This isn't where you can
gotta do the cooking by the book.
Yeah. This isn't where you can high stick someone before overtime and get away with it.
When Tougie said cooking by the book, it reminded me of the Lazy Town version of that with Little John. Don't break it down, bitch! Let me see it, back it up!
Jesus.
I think you're stalling.
God, to answer this question because Endo's not going to. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. With Marge, she's the oldest of the group. There's some experience there, and given that the Simpsons have been on the air for 30 years, she probably has a good amount of money that I could inherit in a short amount of time. But she's old. There is Francine, which, as Sin mentioned, questionable character. There is Lois, who, okay, yeah, whatever. You marry Lois, you kill Marge, and you fuck Francine. Stop wasting time.
You're gonna try to tell me that I'm wrong? Grow up.
On a bubble, dog.
Oh, but where does the Wicked Witch of the East slot into this conversation?
To the east, bro.
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. The Wicked Witch of the East.
Grow up.
Or what the fuck was the name of the Wicked Witch of the East's sister?
The Wicked Witch of the West.
What? But she wasn't wicked though.
She was a
She
witch.
wasn't wicked. Was she the good witch?
She came down in a bubble, dog. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
God damn it. Anyway, thank you everybody for the questions. And boy, really sending Sin off on a high note. Is elegant offering in the question that's old as time. Fuck, marry, kill. Lois, Marge, or Francie. Gentlemen, the Stanley Cup Final is set as the Vegas Golden Knights eliminated the Dallas Stars in 6 games. The Knights are going on to the Stanley Cup Final for the second time in their very short history. We'll talk a little bit about them a little bit more in depth in a moment, but just to talk about kind of the series that was, because Vegas ended the fucking 6-0 in Dallas. Just get shit on. You know? Like that's worse than being reverse swept. Getting embarrassed in an elimination game where your team didn't even show up. William Karlsson had 3 points. Aiden Hill shut you out again. And Jake Ottinger had a .793 save percentage. Playoff Jake is not a thing. It's officially canceled, and until further notice, and until he proves otherwise,
he's 24. Let's let him develop.
Right, let him off the hook in terms of, oh, he gets to the playoff, he's the guy. He has not proven that. He has time to prove it in the future, but we cannot hold him up like Simba as like, oh my god, this is the playoff goalie.
Fair. I thought you were shitting on him.
Just more so, well, I mean, in a sense, like, and we're obviously going to talk about it, like, he was not great in the playoffs.
But also the first 10 minutes, his team did nothing. Like, they were standing still, and they got pooped on by a fourth line. They made Keegan Colasar look like fucking Gretzky.
It's true.
That takes talent. Like, Keegan Colasar is the worst player on the Golden Knights. And he should be suspended for that dirty-ass hit.
What about Phil in the box eating all the hot dogs up there?
He shouldn't be scratched.
Yeah.
He should be.
But that's
all the memes, though, about
his Iron Man streak is still intact because only regular season matters. Unless, for my argument, regular season doesn't matter.
Correct. You are correct. But, yeah, so, I mean, with Ottinger, again, he didn't have a very good series at all. He didn't really have a good playoffs. He finishes the postseason with an .895 save percentage. He had an .877 in the 6 games against Vegas. I mean, Vegas...
He was too inconsistent.
Yeah, and again, it's not to say he's not going to be great, but the hype off of the Calgary series from last season, that officially goes into blip on the radar territory for now, unless he can prove that this was the season. That's actually the I can't think of the right word here, but the actual blip on the radar, the fluke, essentially.
Yeah, that the sample size is still small, but he's got one great season and then one pretty shit season in the playoffs. Right. So it's like, okay, what's he gonna be? This is the franchise mode question again. You have a goaltender who comes in, kills it in the playoffs the one year, then has a sub 900 the next.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, look, for Dallas, obviously we got to talk about this and what's next for them, because for Vegas, I mean, hey, we know what's next for them. It's the Stanley Cup Final. Fucking Aiden Hill had a .939 save percentage with 2 shutouts in 6 games against Dallas. Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, and Barbashev were all point per game. There wasn't a single player who suited up for Vegas that did not record at least 1 point in that series. Like, that is how they've done it, is just incredible depth. And I mean, yeah, Keegan Colasar had as many points in that series as Chandler Stevenson and Jack Eichel. He had more points than Mark Stone and Riley Smith. You can't have Keegan Colasar looking like a fucking superstar. You just can't do it. But for Dallas, holy shit, this series was rough, man. And it sucks because they had such good momentum. 19 playoff games. You had 24 points for Rupe Hintz. He was tremendous. Robertson, 18 and 19. He delivered. Pavelski was point per game. Max Domi, Heiskanen all did okay. And then Jamie Benn was 6th in scoring. 11 points in 17 games.
I feel like most of that came in the Seattle series, too. I could be wrong, though.
Because in this series, he had 1 point in 4 games, was a -3 with 15 penalty minutes and a 2-game suspension.
He was 0 for 4 in the games he played in that series.
Correct. And I watched the Hockey Guys recap of it and completely agree with his take. They fucked up putting him back in the lineup. I get, like, oh, captain, whatever. Like, no. Like, they fucked up putting him back in. And the problem is, from the Dallas Stars' perspective, you are stuck with Jamie Benn. I don't see how you possibly trade that contract. He has $9.5 million against the cap hit for next season and the season after, with a full no movement clause that he would have to waive.
Yeah, he's not going to do that because he's also not paying fucking state tax there.
It all comes bingo card.
That's a new space just added by me because it's stupid and it matters, and I'm sick of pretending that it doesn't.
I'm tired of pretending that it's not. Yeah, I mean, he fucked up. Jamie Benn had a fucking brutal series, perhaps only outshit by Ryan Suter. Ooh, oof.
Yeah.
Oof, Ryan Suter. 38 years old. Ryan Suter, by the way, 2 more years on his deal at $3.65 million per.
I still don't understand how he swindled them for that when he's getting all that money from Minnesota still.
So his career earnings on Cap Friendly, the estimated career earnings of Ryan Suter, if you guys had to guess, remember he made his NHL debut in the 05-06 season for Nashville. What does Cap Friendly have as his estimated career earnings?
Well, whatever fucking he has, Zach Parise has the exact same. So
I can actually tell you who has more.
I'm gonna say career earnings for Suter, $67 million.
80
million.
million.
You have a guess? Okay.
80 million.
80 million, he said. $111 million.
You
What?
You are a fucking 9-figure.
How old was he when he got the Minnesota deal?
Now, for the record on Cap Friendly, estimated career earnings to date, calculated from a percentage of time spent in the majors, minors, and juniors each season, and the player's respective salary at each level, includes performance bonuses. Or
Also,
includes signing bonuses, but not performance bonuses.
And this was before they had the term limits on contracts. I was just thinking, didn't he sign for like 13 years? Yeah, I was just like, okay, well, max 7 by like 9 or whatever it was. We'll start with that. I'll add something for his other. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so that Minnesota contract in July of 2012, again, he and Parise signed at the same time. 13-year deal with a $98 million contract value and had $25 million worth of signing bonuses.
That's nuts.
Now adjust that for inflation and see how much money he really has.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, his estimated career earnings, $111 million. Parise's at $110 because he didn't quite get the contract that Suter did once he left Dallas. But yeah, Suter, Ben, brutal series. And again, it kind of raises the question, like, you can further dissect, like, okay, who had a good series, who had a bad series. The bottom line is they're out. I mean, although I will shout out, the worst player in this series, Tyler Seguin. 6 games played, 0 points, -7.
Woof.
Tyler Seguin is signed for 4 more seasons at $9.85 million with a full no movement clause. As much as they have the incredible Rupe Hintz contract that's about to kick in, $8.5 million over 8 years. Jason Robertson, 3 more years at $7.75.
Steal.
Miro Heiskanen, 6 more years at $8.5.
Steal.
Ottinger even, 2 more years, RFA at the end of it, $4 million per. They are being dragged down by contracts like the Suter deal, like Ben, like Sagan. They're being held down by the old guard that are getting paid way too much and cannot perform at the level that the Stars thought they would be able to, particularly Ben and Sagan, who are 33 and 31 years old, respectively.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but boat anchors. I don't know how they signed him to like 9.5 or why they signed him to 9.5 when they had that state tax thing to work with. It's kind of nuts. When did they sign?
So he signed his extension with Dallas in September of 2018.
And guess what happened that year? He had 80 points, and he was a 70, 80-point producing player. And then he shit the bed. 50 points after that. Then he had 2 points in a short season. We played 3 games. Then 49 points last season, and then 50 points this season. So just hasn't been the same guy.
Yeah, and also
so his
cap didn't go up because of the pandemic. I'm sure they're kind of counting on cap eventually going up with new TV deals and stuff like that. But
he got a $4 million raise, so like
he ran into a shitload of injury problems as well. October of 2020, the word was out that he had a torn labrum and was expected to be out for 4 months. And then the next month, it was announced, he had surgery. He's out for another 5 months. And he came back, I think, when Dallas made the Cup Final against Tampa. And just since then, he hasn't quite been the same, unfortunately. So it puts the Stars in a spot of UFAs this year. Evgeny Dodonov, probably gone. Max Domi, probably gone. Glendening, Kiviranta, Olofsson, Joel Hanley, who, unfortunately for him, had one of the worst turnovers I've ever seen in that Game 6, stripped of the puck by a stick lift from the back, which is why people get mad at Easchel. And then the only real RFA is tied to Landria that they have to take care of. They're not boned, but I'm intrigued to see what they do in terms of shuffling these pieces around to try and make this work, because you have to. You don't have your first-round pick as well. They gave that up to the New York Rangers in acquiring Nils Lundqvist this past September. So I don't quite know what they do to, again, try to navigate the fact that you got guys making way too much money for their performance level right now. But not a very good spot for them. But again, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, you made the conference final. It's just, how do you get over that hump is the question. And then on the other side is the Stanley Cup Final itself. Vegas and Florida. Game 1 will be on Saturday, June 3rd. If it goes to Game 7, that'll be June 19th. So unless this series ends via sweep, we will not have a show up about the final until it's over because of Sin and I's trip overseas. In the regular season, they split 1-1. Vegas won 4-2 in January, and then Florida won 2-1 in March, so not a whole hell of a lot to go off of there. You look, though, at the playoff numbers at this stage in terms of how this series could go. The Florida Panthers, led by, who else? Matthew Tkachuk, 21 points in 16 games. Nobody else is over a point per game, but they're close. Verhaeghe has 15, Barkov 14, Reinhart and Bennett each on 11 points. Nobody else has more than 10. Their depth scoring has been, we'll call it, inconsistent at times. I feel like that's fair. But obviously the biggest story for them this postseason is Sergei frickin' Bobrovsky with a .935 save percentage and a .221 goals against average with 1 shutout through 14 games played. A postseason where he did not start as their starting goaltender. Still can't believe that fucking worked out for them. God damn it. Whereas on the other side, for the Vegas Golden Knights, led in scoring by, any guesses?
March or so.
He is second, point per game, 17 and 17.
Eichel then.
It is Jack Eichel, 18 points in 17 games at 26 years old. Barbashev, deadline pickup. He and Mark Stone each have 15 points this playoffs. Carlson, Stevenson at 14. Riley Smith at 11. Like, they have gotten the higher scoring and the more well-rounded depth scoring. And they've gotten the goaltending. Because, look, I know it's different. Sergei Bobrovsky, the huge contract, the expectations, had to go through fucking Boston, Toronto, and Carolina. But Aiden Hill takes over for Laurent Brossoit after 8 appearances from the latter, who of course got injured. In 11 appearances, Aiden Hill has a 7-3-0 record with a .937 save percentage and a .207 goals against average.
He's been really good, yeah.
He's been insane. And look, again, Bobrovsky, a little bit more games in. The road, you could argue, would have been a bit more difficult.
Definitely.
I mean, obviously, like, by default, you say it's more difficult for the Panthers because Bruins, Leafs, and Hurricanes. But again, the Golden Knights made it past Winnipeg, although I think Brossoit started pretty much all of that. But they also made it past Edmonton and Dallas. You know, nobody can act like Vegas had a fucking smooth ride to the final.
No, definitely not, but...
Again, it's just the idea for me that Aiden Hill and Sergei Bobrovsky is the goaltending matchup in the 2023 Stanley Cup Final. It's fucking
playoffs
wild.
Are weird, and goalies are extremely weird in the playoffs. Like, it just...
Yep.
It's true.
Sometimes they just heat up for no reason, and at other times you just shit the bed. I mean, that's basically what it is, and that's how it has been.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
This is the first time that a team in the salary cap era with a player making 10+ million will win the cup. Which again was a huge talking point for the longest time. Like, oh, Chicago, you signed those big deals with 2 dirtbags, and look at that, you didn't win anything afterwards. Obviously the talk of Montreal making it to the final with Carey Price, but not being able to get it done in the bubble, Doug. It's also, so there's 2 main things here before we get to kind of a prediction that we're going to have to give. First and foremost, the patch placement on the jerseys because of the ad, the sponsor.
It's
the
awkward.
Florida Panthers, Jesus Christ. Like, some people don't like those jerseys anyway. Boy, do they look a hell of a lot worse with that ad placement. But again, we know the NHL, we live in a capitalistic society. You have to respect the integrity of the sponsor over your own Stanley Cup branding. Way to go, Gary. You're crushing it. And the other thing to talk about is the fact that this will be the first, or excuse me, not the first, but the Stanley Cup Final will consist of 2 teams that have never won the Stanley Cup for only the 7th time in the 96 years since it became an NHL-only trophy. This is a loaded trivia question. Do you guys have any guesses of any of the other 6 matchups in which it was guaranteed to have a first-time winner?
Oh my God, no.
This is why I didn't put it in the sheet, because I'm like, okay, this is a fucking loaded one. But I will say, it has happened. So the oldest one, 1934, Chicago-Detroit. It did not happen again until 1991, and has happened 5 times since, this being the 6th.
Expansion teams and shit, I do not care enough.
It's a loaded one.
It would have been Vegas and the Capitals, obviously.
Yep. That's the most
easy.
recent up till now. Yeah.
Let me think.
Like I said, super tough one. That's why I'm not like, hey, why don't you go? I understand how tough this one is.
There's a Calgary and Dallas. Was that it? No, who the hell did Dallas play? Because were they counted?
Dallas is on there for the '99 Cup Final.
Yeah, who did they play that year? Because I said both teams had to have not won a cup, right?
Yeah, I find your lack of knowledge trash.
I don't care. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I thought it was Buffalo, but then for some reason I thought it was Calgary Buffalo, which is...
I'm going to be right back. Something's wrong with my nose. BRB.
Okay. So how many is that? That's 3.
Yeah, so obviously this year, 2023, 2018, Washington, Vegas, 1999, Dallas, and Buffalo, and then I mentioned the 93 or the 1934 one.
So 2 more.
3 more.
Ducks, and it couldn't have been the Devil. Oh, they haven't won. So it was Ducks in 06 against. Who the fuck did they play in 06? The Lightning?
We're looking for 2007. You're right there. Though.
Whatever.
2007 might help though. That's your hint.
It doesn't help because I know I just had the year wrong. Ducks and.
Is there anything special about the year 2007 in the hockey world?
Yeah, no, I don't know what.
Oh God. 50.
Carolina won in 2007, didn't they?
1507. Oh, was it Ottawa?
It was Ottawa. Yeah.
Oh,
Ew! Why don't I? Ew! I don't remember that. I just remember the Ducks won. I had no idea who they played. Ottawa?
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, it was Ottawa.
Anaheim, Ottawa in 07. Yeah.
Huh.
There you go.
Okay, and then one more.
2 more. 1991 and 1996.
Oh, 91. It's not. 91 and 96.
Yeah. I'm impressed though. You're doing good.
91's tough because I didn't care. I was 1 year old.
I was gonna say 2/3 of this podcast was not yet born.
Okay. No, 91. It had to have been the Flames and someone else because the Flames hadn't won it yet, and I'm pretty sure they had an appearance. That was their last appearance in the Cup Finals. Was 91.
You're 2 years off. Their last appearance was 89.
Bullshit.
And they won the Cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hell.
Yeah.
91. It's not the Penguins?
Correct.
It is?
Who did the Penguins beat in the 91 Cup Final?
The Kings. Or no. The Blue. Wait. I don't know. Fuck. Don't laugh at me. You have the answers.
I do. It's great.
You ain't got the answer, Sway.
Penguins.
It was the team that relocated.
Ew. North Stars?
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
And then 1996. A team relocated and moved to their new city and won a cup immediately.
What? Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, 2006 or 96?
96.
Who the fuck relocated in 96?
I'm having fun. It's a good time. I get to torture Sin before he goes to Finland.
I'm trying to. Oh, Avalanche.
Who'd they beat?
Right.
And littering and shit.
It's
St.
a pretty
Louis.
relevant team.
St. Louis. Did they play St. Louis in the final?
No.
Yeah, 2 Central
I'm an
Division
idiot.
teams played in the Stanley Cup Final.
I don't fucking know. I mean, we had two teams that would normally be in the same fucking conference going to the Stanley Cup final fucking 2 years ago, so anything's possible.
Winnipeg had already moved, right?
Correct.
And they
Winnipeg
used to
/
be
Arizona / Phoenix
Yeah.
is not the answer.
No, I know. Fuck me.
It is the relocated Quebec Nordiques, aka the Colorado Avalanche.
I got that one.
Who the fuck
And-
they play?
I don't know.
Jesus. I don't know either. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
You guys are gonna be mad. Anyone still watching or listening to this is screaming.
I don't give a
Oh my
fuck,
God.
dude.
Oh wait. I think I know who it was. This is the second time that they've been in the Cup final, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Florida.
it is the Florida Panthers.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah.
The only time they've
I
ever
thought
made
it was
to the final,
94
too.
that they made it.
No, 96.
Oh.
94 was Rangers Canucks.
Oh, whatever.
There you go. So, boys, that leads us to the question. Sin, when you return to the show in a little over a month's time, who would have won the Stanley Cup Final while you were in Finland?
I don't know. I hope Florida.
I was going to say, we can answer it with the traditional who do we want versus who we think.
I want Florida. I hope Florida wins it. I don't know. I have a horrible feeling that Vegas is going to win it. Like, it's just a horrible feeling. But then I won't care as much. I'll be in Finland living it up. I'll avoid most of the nuclear fallout from their fans and their shitty fucking admin on Twitter.
Mm.
Yeah.
There.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world, you know?
Yeah. Endo, who do you want to win? Who do you think will win?
I want Florida to win because they kicked both of our teams' asses, Tougie. And because I want to see the Rat King carry the cup in Florida at the same time as the Miami Heat win the fucking NBA championship. The Larry O.B.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to try to avoid the whole Boston lost the conference finals in 7 at TD Garden against a somewhat Miami-based team in both the NHL and the NBA, but hey, we have to mention it. Yeah, for Endo's reason, rooting for the Florida Panthers. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to win it. I do.
I just have a feeling Bobrovsky's going to just shit the bed. And because goalies always seem to shit the bed against Vegas. Like, they just have this weird voodoo. I don't know. They're getting hot at the wrong time for me. Florida's still very, very, very good, but Vegas is also pretty damn good.
Hellebuck, Skinner, Ottinger. You know, those are the 3 goalies they've managed to outduel so far. So we shall see.
I just hope Florida beats the fuck out of them. That's really the only hope you can think of. But hey, I'm sure they'd trade Keegan Colasar for Sam Bennett any day of the week, you know?
I mean, hey, have you watched Keegan Colasar punch a man in the fucking taint when he's already got 2 other people on top of him in a scrum like Sam Bennett did? I don't think so.
Well, no, I've seen him.
Pretty cool.
I've seen him shove someone in the back face first in the boards and not get suspended.
Yeah, but taint punch.
Don't care.
Fair enough. Worth noting, a couple other things popped up, mainly front office related as we look to wind down the show. Endo's best friend, Kyle Dubas, is the new president of hockey operations for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the primary response online has been, but he said he wouldn't. He said he wouldn't.
Whoa!
Whoa! What? You said it was here or nowhere, Kyle, but we... Look, that was Kyle Dubas's take at a press conference that ultimately Brendan Shanahan decided was worth firing him over. And technically, he kept his word. He is not the GM. He is the president of hockey operations for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, which kind of feels like what he should have been for the Leafs, because what the fuck has Brendan Shanahan done? Aside from being very, very good at being a heat shield for the ownership consortium known as MLSE. This was the worst kept secret in sports, basically, that there was a lot of conversations going on with Kyle Dubas going to Pittsburgh. They announced this not all that long before the Leafs were introducing their new GM, who we'll get to in a second. All in all, I mean, good for Kyle Dubas. That's really all you can say. It's just good for Kyle Dubas. I mean, not the prettiest end to his relationship with the Leafs, but the Pittsburgh Penguins, you could do worse on the rebound than pairing up with Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Especially, too, if they find success in the next few years. If Kyle Dubas is able to successfully navigate keeping the Penguins relevant through the winding down of the old core, that's not quite as big time as winning a Stanley Cup at the Leafs. But that looks pretty fucking good on a resume, too.
Yep.
If he can pull that off.
Yep.
Now, we mentioned the Leafs. At the same time, they were introducing the 18th general manager in club history, Brad Treliving. And ever since, it has been this internet campaign. I have not seen a campaign like this since Coney 2012, to prove just how fucking nice Brad Treliving is and what a great guy he is, as if that has any sort of fucking relevance to what he might do as the Leafs GM.
If he's nice, it means he doesn't have bite. What are we doing here?
That's what they wanted. They wanted bite, right? And now everyone's just going like, oh, whatever. He's nice.
The end of Brad Treliving's tenure with the Flames, there was obviously the big set of miscommunications with ownership not allowing him to fire Daryl Sutter and blah, 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 blah. He was the GM of the Calgary Flames for almost 9 years. They never made it out of the second round either. I'm sorry, but to me, you cannot defend this as on paper. Who knows? This could work out. He could win 3 fucking cups at the Leafs in the next 3 years. But on paper, it is a lateral move.
Yeah, it's 100% a lateral move.
Because Brad Treliving has literally accomplished just as much as Kyle Dubas, except he had even more time at the helm of a team to try and do it. Now, you can sit here and be like, oh, but there were these injuries that you couldn't plan for, and like, you were building around like Monahan, and that didn't, and then Kachuk wanted to. The bottom line is, it was his decision to bring back Daryl Sutter. Even if he was not essentially allowed to fire him afterwards, it was his decision to bring back Daryl Sutter. It was his decision to trade Matthew Kachuk, which, you know, hands were probably tied on that a little bit in terms of shit, he wants to go. We got to do something. And in theory, you did get a great return. Matter of fact, you got a phenomenal return in Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau. And you locked them both down to contract extensions. That's damn fucking good business. But you also, even if you weren't allowed to fire Daryl Sutter, you didn't really change the rest of the team to fit a more skill-based approach that you were going to have with Huberdeau instead of Matthew Kachuk. Like, you can blame Daryl Sutter if you want to. Daryl Sutter's not the reason Trevor Lewis, Milan Lucic, Nick Ritchie, Michael Stone were on the roster and relatively regularly featured. That comes down to the GM. The idea of the playoffs, and they just couldn't quite make it over the hump. Sure, but I don't know. I'm all right. Like, I don't find it personally offensive that Leafs fans like, hey, this could work out. It could. But the idea, especially within the media, the coping.
Oh, man.
Well, Kyle had a bit of a prickly personality, and now we got Brad Treliving in here. He's got more experience. He's a really nice guy. Did you know that he helped the ECHL Players Association be more in line with, he helped the play. He's a real nice guy. Cool. He hasn't fucking won anything. He just hasn't. So it could work out, but this idea of, again, mostly it's the media and a certain section of fans. Kyle, it's the fucking Woody meme. Dropping Kyle Dubas. I don't want to play with you anymore. Just, not only that, you rip his fucking arm off and beat him over the head with it because, Kyle's gone now. Brad's my best friend. Typical hockey media nonsense. Again, Brad Treliving, it might work out really well. I don't know. But the people who take it real seriously is like, fat dub for the Leafs. We'll see. It's not looking too good, though, on paper. As well, Sheldon Keefe. You would think he's gone. There is the talk, though, of, if he keeps Sheldon Keefe around and then gets rid of him, it's like, if you keep Sheldon Keefe around for the season doesn't go well, then gets rid of Sheldon. It's like, he wasn't my coach, so that's a safety net for him. No, it's not, because he would have made the decision to keep Sheldon Keefe around when it's very obvious that Sheldon Keefe gets outcoached in almost every single goddamn playoff series he's ever been a part in, especially the fucking series against the Florida Panthers, where Justin Hall continued to play a lot. So I'm sorry, but there's not a defense for Brad Treliving there either, he kept Sheldon Keefe, so it's fine. The first no, how could you possibly make the decision to keep Sheldon Keefe around right now?
Yeah.
Aside from MLSE, then you go back to the ownership nonsense of the owners, you know how they wouldn't let him fire Darryl Sutter? Well, now it's the same thing. Like they won't let him fire Sheldon Keefe because they're still paying Mike Babcock and they don't want to pay two coaches to not. I'm just hearing a whole bunch of fucking excuses before the shit even gets off the ground. I'm hearing a whole bunch of excuses.
That's Leafs media. That's what it's been. It's not even just like Leafs entirely. Just MLSE as a whole has been just in the shitter as of late. The Raptors don't have a GM. Raptors have a GM. They don't have a coach, an assistant coach. There's no identity with the team. And then you go over across the pond to the Leafs and their situation right now, and with Marlies as well incorporated into that. And then you have Toronto FC, who are basically on like their last leg, where they brought in 2 stars, and they're just being even worse than before. And the only reason why your coach is still there is because he's the dad. He's your captain's dad. So it's literally just like a reverse nepotism hire. Like it's insane. It is wild how bad it is across for all Toronto's major sports. And don't even get me started on the fucking Blue Jays, because
I won't, because your audio quality is still very robotic.
Is it really robotic?
Yeah, your camera's way behind too.
That too.
It's fine on my end.
Shout out to your ISP. It was really letting you down, but that's okay.
I don't even think it's the ISP. I can check right now.
Who's to say? Yeah, I don't have too much else to add to this whole deal. It could work out. We do not know. The jury's out, but again, there's the campaign out there of the Steve Simmons types. And I don't to be like, Kyle was a little shithead, but Brad, that's a real man. I don't know if you want to be falling in line with the Steve Simmons of the world.
No.
In regards to anything. Let alone something hockey related, because you gotta look a certain way.
This is just another example of the Leafs just completely and honestly, this to me is mostly self-preservation for Shanahan. Because Kyle wants more autonomy, and that's what he was pushing for. I don't believe it was just money, or he realized that like he's not going to get autonomy, so he's like, okay, pay me more if you want me to be your fucking figurehead. If I'm going to take all this heat for these moves that I don't, I suggest them, but you have to okay them. I'm not even be able to make all the moves I want to make. Then pay me more. And the way Shanahan like went about like just throwing him under the bus, airing all this dirty laundry and all this other bullshit, probably not even getting the whole story. And it's honestly, to me, it's self-preservation, because MLSE, who is for some reason now the most stickler of fucking ownership groups, despite being made up of like some of the richest companies in Canada, are like they're going to look at that and be like, well, if Dubas can come to us directly with these requests and trade things, why do we need you, Brendan?
Yeah.
And that's why Brendan made the fucking move. And I don't believe this. I started to lose hope and I thought I might have to look elsewhere. He had this in mind. They didn't interview anyone else. Really. They had a Zoom interview with Bergevin. You heard a bunch of other names, but no interviews were confirmed. They had several interviews with Treliving. Like, he was the only one. So, and like you said, it's a lateral move. He's in no way better than Dubas. In fact, you could argue he's like worse. And also doesn't fucking need the job. Like, I don't know. It just seems like the Leafs got what they want. They're like, all right, this is just someone who's going to fucking take orders and be at the front.
Yeah.
Which is going to send them back into the dark ages, potentially.
Well, I'll make for fun internet content, at least. 2 other things in regards to GMs. From Frank Saravalli about the Nashville Predators. Preds have formerly fired head coach John Hines, who had 1 year remaining on his contract. Andrew Burnett incoming as next head coach, as first reported by Kevin Weeks. clunky process, to say the least, for Barry Trotz's first move as Nashville GM. Frank, just say you were good with John Hines. Just say you guys are buddy-buddy. That's all it is. Putting that much personal information essentially into a tweet, or personal feeling into a tweet. You know, this team fired a head coach with 1 year left on his deal. Not like that ever happens. Clunky process to say, Frank, let's be frank. Calm the fuck down. John Hines is not an astonishingly...
See what Endo's doing right now. It's so goddamn pixelated.
I think it picked up for me, so it should be fine on the video. John Hines is not this amazing, stellar Uber coach who, how dare you have the audacity to fire him early? How
I didn't even
dare
know
you?
he was Nashville's coach.
Yeah. How many people still thought he was the head coach of the Devils until people started chanting, "Fire Lindy, sorry Lindy"?
I didn't even know he was fucking head coach of the Devils at any point.
There you go. Yeah, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 seasons. And midway, like, he got fired midway through a season in New Jersey, and then the same season replaced Peter Laviolette in Nashville. And odds are, and again, it's the attitude of, oh, but think about John. Poor John's been fired. He's already fucking rumored to go to the New York Rangers. As is Peter Laviolette. Oh no! What are these head coaches gonna do when they're fired? I don't fucking know. End up on another team? Because that's what always fucking happens.
Or they could sit at home and collect money.
The fucking horror. Jesus Christ. Go to Barbados for 6 months and you won't miss a fucking thing. Like, bottom line is, Barry Trotz is the new GM of this team. Stunning that a new GM would name his own head coach, by the way. I'm stunned. Clunky process. That should be the fucking episode title, Frank. Jesus Christ, that's the dumbest tweet I've ever seen from him. I'm very disappointed. From Alex Doherty on Twitter. Barry Trotz on the upcoming draft says he told his scouts to, quote, take some swings, take some high-end swings on some guys and adds, I can find you third, fourth line guys, no problem. Go get me some guys that might get people out of their seats. I respect that from Barry Trotz. I respect naming his own GM. Let Barry Trotz cook. It's Barry Trotz. I don't give a fuck about John Hines' feelings. Let Barry Trotz cook. And that's what Seattle's doing with Ron Francis, by the way. They extended him through 2027. I didn't expect to get so worked up at the end of the show. But damn it, here we are. Endo. Are you able to talk, or are you still being throttled by Rogers?
Bah.
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. Sad.
A lot of
Leaf
it now.
suck.
There you go. Well, don't worry. We heard that one in clear. Endo will be back with me next week. We'll see if we find a short-term third host of the show. Why not? We'll see who is out there. And Mr. Sin for the win. It is time that we drive you up to the steps of the new college and watch my baby bird spread his wings.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, you're leaving us for like a month and a half.
For a month.
It's a long month. We're gonna miss you.
Oh, okay. I was like, it's just a month, man. I'll be back, I think.
I mean, and I'm gonna be gone for 2 out of those 4 weeks as well.
Yeah. Wait, you're going for 2 weeks this time?
A week and a half, I think.
That's better. That's sweet. Awesome.
Who knows? We might stay longer. And no, we won't, because flight prices, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But
and you actually have to pay for accommodations.
Yeah.
I don't this time, which is amazing.
Uh-huh. Well, honestly, I'm not even jealous. I'm happy for it, because having to pay for a month's worth of a fucking Airbnb would
that was tough last year.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sin, you already told us you got the new Be a Pro coming out soon, the Live the Life.
Hell yeah.
Any parting thoughts before you leave us for ever a month?
I'm not coming back. No, just kidding. I'm coming back.
We're ending the show. This is the last episode.
No, yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm like, shit. Like, I want to be on this show forever. And it's like, dude, how am I going to do that if I'm living in Finland? There's
we
a lot
will
of stuff that...
We'll record earlier in the day.
Good luck. Endo's not going to be awake.
Well, Endo hardly likes hockey at this point. Let's be honest. The Leafs have murdered him.
You're going to tell me that I'm wrong? I can see that at least.
Yeah, there you go. We will see you soon, everybody. Thank you for watching, listening, supporting the show, and we will catch you next time.